Hi everyone and welcome to the Brim Fishing Project. And in this episode, we're heading back across to Western Australia, jumping in the fast boats to run around on the mighty Blackwood River in Augusta. Now, this is a cracking little event with the winning team winning by around about 1 kilo. So it's a great one to get into, and I'm going to roll the intros and tell you all about it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Brim Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target brim on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite brim competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here's your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
All right. So look, it's Tuesday morning as this comes to air. Now, I did say I'd have some announcements, and unfortunately, a few more technical difficulties have slowed the process down. But what I think I'll do is between and recording this and Tuesday or maybe Wednesday morning, I am going to release the tournament shirts and give people an idea of what they look like. Now, the idea for this is you'll have to click the link, which I'm going to post on Facebook and Instagram, which Instagram will be just underneath my my bio. So there'll be a link there so you can jump on that and have a look. The idea is put your orders in. There's no payments taken at this point. We just need an email address, your shirt size. Now, this is one of the tricky things. I actually don't have a size guide. So for your tournament shirts, the only thing I would say is that the fabric that this is made out of is called milk silk. It's soft and lovely. So if you're normally in, say, an extra large, you'll probably be in a large, or you'll be super comfortable in your extra large. So either way, you're just going to have to make a judgment. Alternately, if you do have any of the new grey Hobie shirts or the Hunter Water Sports shirts, one of the new ones with the hoods, they're the same sizing, so you can work it out from that. Apart from that, I guess if you're really worried about it, message me and I'll see if I can help you out further with that. Anyway, super excited. We're going to have some tournament shirts, so feel free to jump on that, and we're going to be ordering based on the email responses. If you're having trouble with that, shoot me a message and I'll help you out and make sure you're on the list. And in terms of the other announcements, I've just got to get through these technical difficulties before I can release it. So hopefully I'll get it sorted this week. I've got a big week ahead. As I'm recording this, I'm going into the action fishing tournaments up at Wooi on the weekend. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're 2 weeks out from the Hobie event. So if you haven't entered for that, you'd need to get on that. The deadline will probably be Friday, I'd imagine. So definitely jump on that, get your entries in there. And then, there's still a bunch of tournaments around the country coming up. So keep your eyes out. I've got a heap recorded. I'm super excited to bring it all to you. In any case, let's get back over to Western Australia, to the Western Australian Tournament Series. So this was the Tackle West round of the boat series over there. So this round's brought to you by Tackle West. The major sponsor, or one of the major sponsors over there, is Atomic. And anyway, so March 23-24. Now, on the Saturday, so in the fish activity wheel, they had 76, so really good numbers. The major bite period was at 9:46 a.m. through to 12:16 p.m. with a low tide at 4:37 a.m. at 0.41 of a metre and a high tide at 11:12 a.m. at 0.71. On the Sunday, slightly better day on the fish activity wheel at 88. Major bite period was 10:25 to 12:55 with a low tide at 12:36 at 0.46 and a high tide at 10:49 at 0.77. All right, so let's get into the angler interviews. You've got 3 interviews coming your way with all 6 anglers. And I think all but Ben had been on the show before, although Ben had qualified, but we just hadn't quite got there. But look, I hope you enjoy it. And here they are. All right, so here I have Matt Trippett from the Fly Program. So, mate, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, so Matt, mate, tell us first of all who you are and kind of what you do down there.
Sure. Well, my name is Matt Trippett and used to be a school teacher and then went into the fly fishing industry as a teacher and casting instructor, guiding in the New South Wales Snowy Mountains since 2010. And I've been very, very fortunate to be able to do a lot with my passion for fly fishing professionally. And in 2016, founded the Fly Program as a not-for-profit here in Australia. And that was through the circumstances of losing a brother-in-law to suicide and just feeling a great sense of purpose in my life to change the outcomes for somebody else. So using recreational fishing as an opportunity to engage Aussie men through life-changing experiences where we can support mental fitness and more mental health within our Aussie male community.
Right. Okay. So since 2016, maybe give us a bit of a rundown of what the format of that is, of what you actually do when you turn up for the fly program.
Yeah, so we have a big focus around early intervention, prevention-based mental fitness, about equipping men with skills that they can use in their day-to-day lives. And we do that through the outdoors. So after a referral or a booking process comes in, and whether that be an individual makes that themselves or a mate or a brother or a father or a wife does that for somebody in their lives, we have a 4-day base retreat here in the New South Wales Snowy Mountains. And as a part of that retreat, we use fly fishing as a main mechanism to help support amazing pathways where we can explore rivers and streams and lakes here in the mountains, but also share some amazing dialogue around conversations, supporting blokes with new friendships and mateship. But we've got an amazing mental fitness curriculum that we've developed with professionals that gives us the toolboxes to be able to use when stress, anxiety, sadness comes into our lives. So it is very, very special. When that retreat finishes, we've got a 7-week program that continues from home. So through the support of facilitators, it's just weekly activities that men can be doing, staying engaged with their new friendship groups. And we really do create a brotherhood amongst our peers. And it's something that we're really, really grateful to be a part of, and to see this group of men just grow and grow and grow every year. It's really, really cool.
Right. I bet you must have some amazing stories of helping guys out and hopefully turning some situations around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, my wife and I still have the same sort of commitment from day one. Our commitment to the fly program and our service in the community through the fly program was to change the outcomes for one individual, and that is still remains our number one priority. But in the last 7-8 years of operation, we were able to reflect on the fly program and see well over 1,200 men go through this program now, and we know that there's been a lot of life-changing experiences and stories for men in our community who are a part of this family now.
Fantastic. Okay, so look, here at the Brim Fishing Project, as part of our new subscription service, what we're planning to do is do 2 things for you, hopefully. One is for every membership per month, we're going to just donate $1 from each membership. And then we're also going to put together and try and do a bit of a fundraiser to help support maybe 2 or 3 guys in the next 12 months to get down there and be part of the program. So that's what I'm hoping to do for you, and hopefully the broader community from the Brim Fishing Project will get on board and put their hands in their pocket and just give a little bit back to the guys that are just struggling a little bit.
Oh, mate, that's awesome. And that's the beauty of what we can do as community members, approaching things that can be as difficult as mental health challenges, whether it be men or women. But it does affect so many of us in our community, and any support that we can receive that then can be shared with somebody else in our community is massive. And I certainly say to all of your listeners, as a health promotion charity, to any of your listeners, if you want to get out there and support us, create a profile through our fundraising link as well. And you can, if you want to fundraise $100 to $1,400, which it costs us to put a participant through the program, anybody can jump on that right now and get fundraising and use these funds to support more men into life-changing experiences here in the Snowies.
Cool. So if they want to come direct to you, so where would they go to first of all, to become part of the program and actually go on the program, and through to where would they donate?
Yeah, no worries. So obviously all of our community programs are live on our website. More information's on our website, and you can certainly email us at the Fly Program. Just look for the flyprogram.org.au and there will be email links there. If you're in a position to do a fundraiser for us, we'd love you to do that. Please jump on the fundraiser link on the website there as well, and you can create a profile just like a Movember Mobro, for instance. And whether it be through your brim fishing adventures that you might like to do something really extraordinary and raise a few bucks at the same time, that would just be massive. It would be such a wonderful support to us.
Yeah, and we here obviously would like to see that. And look, potentially there's people listening to the podcast that this might actually be a very beneficial thing to be part of, to go on and experience the Fly program.
Oh, there's no doubt. We said off air just a moment ago that half our Aussie population is going to be impacted directly by a mental health challenge at some point in their lives. And the other half, well, we're going to be indirectly impacted. So mental health really does matter. It's got to be front of mind. It's something that we can manage. It's 100% manageable. And so we look after our physical fitness by going for a walk or a jog or hitting the gym. We need to have the same mindset around our mental fitness, and exercising our minds is something that's really important for all of us, nobody excluded. So certainly we're going to have many listeners listening to this, and for many of us, we go fishing for the very reason around mindfulness and spending time in the great outdoors. They're the things that we share through our program, and I think there'll be certainly a lot of empathy towards maybe getting down and sharing a trip with us. It would be great.
Yeah, I think so. And in talking to you, a bit of your focus is on early intervention, so getting help to guys before they're in absolute crisis. So that kind of opens the doors to anyone that feels that this might be beneficial to get on there and apply.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so mental fitness, as I said, we're going to be exposed to trauma, challenges in our lives. We need to have a toolbox up our sleeve that can help us with that. Good friendship groups. For some people who have been through crisis in their lives and around their well-being and their mental health, we've had many, many guys come into our program post-clinical professional support from a doctor or a psychiatrist or psychologist, have come through the program as a part of their strategy, getting their life in check and moving forwards with purpose, and sort of getting into society with energy and using their experiences that they can share with other guys as support. And it's just absolutely fantastic that we see this from through the work that we're doing at the Fly program.
Mate, that is a great story. So look, if anyone's out there, like I said, there'll be a couple of ways to actually make a difference here. You can jump straight on to theflyprogram.org.au and donate directly there, or you can come through me as part of the subscription service and we'll donate a little bit there. But in addition to that, $1,400 to get a guy down there. And I know some of you guys have got decent amounts of money that would really help in this situation. So yeah, please feel free to jump on that.
Thanks very much to all the listeners, and tight lines. Enjoy your fishing.
Yeah, very good, Matt. All right, mate. It was great to talk to you, and we look forward to seeing how the next 12 months go, see how many people we can impact.
Unreal. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Okay, first up, coming in third place, we have Team On the Charge Fishing, dropping 4 fish for 2.42 kilos, packing it up on the Sunday with 4 fish for 1.53 kilos, giving them a total of just under 4 kilos at 3.950. I have Carl State. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Thanks, mate. Matty, you said, sorry you can't make it. You got caught up with work.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. You'll have to carry the team. Fair.
Unlike the comp day, he had to carry us, I think.
Oh, there you go. I kind of left the door open there for you. All right, mate. So, listen, you guys look like you had a pretty fighty little comp there. Tell us, did you get a chance to get out and have a pre-fish?
No, I didn't. I got caught up with work and had to fly to the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
But Matty managed to snag a spot on Jared Stevens' boat, and they went down and had a bit of a pre-fish. And, with the information that he got from that, we came to a gentleman's agreement not to go fish any of Jared's spots, just to be courteous. But our key takeaway from his pre-fish was he was telling us that the brim were rolling on all the snags.
Okay.
So we sort of formulated our plan off that.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a pretty big point. If you can see them, they're on the snags where you probably got a day of snag fishing or 2 days of snag fishing.
Yeah, exactly right.
All right. Tell us about day one, mate. How'd your day go? And I think you had a pretty early or pretty high or early start in the thingo, but you didn't travel far.
Yeah, so we got lucky with the boat draw. So the guys put all the name in the hat and draw them out, and we ended up getting 5th off the line.
Right.
We pretty much got called through, gave them a quick wave. We motored for about 15, 20 seconds.
Yep.
Engine off, electric motor in, and started fishing the snags pretty much at the start point.
Right, okay. So how'd that play out for you? Did you start getting fish immediately?
Not immediately. We still had to work out what they were going to eat. So we just started between bent minnows, some slim swims, grubs, and we just started trying to work out what they were going to feed on.
Right, okay. So then when they started coming, what was your first fish on?
My first fish was on a bent minnow.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the P74. I think it's pink face or clown head or whatever they call them.
Yep, Hickson's face.
In the 76.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both sort of started throwing bents and got a lot of the swirls and the boils and follows. And after a bit of time, we just started hitting the deck with them.
Okay. So how do you, like if you said you had boils and swirls and that sort of stuff, is there any reason why you think they started to actually come on the chew and hit them rather than just boil on them?
So I think we just started varying our different retrieves, where we'd try and just keep it under the surface with little twitches. There was some that we just dead stick and managed to get bites from a dead stick. Yeah, it was just, I think we just worked out how they wanted to feed on them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's just a bit of trial and error. Do you weight your bent minnows at all?
No, not weighted at all.
Okay. All right. And then in terms of fish, so how'd they start coming? Do you get a couple early or a couple late, or how'd that look?
So we ended up getting bagged by about 8, I think it was.
Nice.
And then it was just a matter of just sorting through the enormous amount of 26 tippers that you catch in the Blackwood.
Right. Okay.
So we ended up losing a few bents in the 76s. I lost all my 76 pink faces.
Oh, no.
So I actually changed to an 86 pink face, and that started producing the bigger fish.
There you go. With the bigger fish, what sort of size are we talking?
I think the biggest one was just over 700 grams.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think it was around the 39 tipper.
Yeah.
From memory.
Yeah, okay. Across the course of the day, so did you get all your fish on bents or did you mix it up as the day went on?
No, once the day started going on, we transitioned to a bait like a Z-Man slim swim with a 116, just pitching in front of the snag, letting it hit the bottom, and then just slow rolling them out, and just started producing a lot of fish that way.
Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. So rather than, so you're kind of fishing the edges of the snags, because I think the Blackwood's pretty rough on gear.
Yeah, very rough on gear.
Yeah, so just trying to keep it right out of the middle of the snag, but close enough to get a follow and a take. And in terms of numbers, what sort of numbers do you reckon you got for the day?
Day one, I reckon we would have been well over 150 brim. But as I said, sorting through the 26 tippers or the 24 tippers, it was just a lot of numbers, but very small.
Okay. Lines and leaders, what were you using on the bents?
So I was using a Miller rod blade freak. I usually use a 0.6 PE in the goose and hards. That's, I think, 14 pound. And a 6 pound Yamatoyo leader.
Right. So you were using the blade freak for the bents.
Yep.
So that's a really soft rod, isn't it?
Yep.
Right. How does that go action-wise?
I like the way that it imparts the action on the lure. I get a much better, for me anyway, I get a much better visualization of the lure with that little bit whippier rod.
Okay, I'm going to try that. All right. And then when you went across to the slim swims, what sort of leaders did you run for that?
So same thing, but grub freak, 14 pound braid with 6 pound leader.
Okay, cool. All right. And with the two of you, with you and Maddie, like did you boat to the same amount of fish, or did you put the same fish in the well, or did one shine through?
Day one, I think I had the entire bag in the well before Maddie caught a legal. And then after that, we started sharing. He threw some of mine out of the well and I threw some of his out of the well. And yeah, we just slowly upgraded half a centimetre at a time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. And the reason I ask that is not to be bad, but it's like sometimes a little technique or a lure choice or whatever, or even position on the boat can make a difference as to who's going to get the fish.
Yeah, obviously being at the front of the boat, you get that first shot at that good snag, don't you?
Yeah, but that's also part of being a team too.
Exactly right.
Yeah, you try and work out what the best result is for the team. All right, let's have a look. So on the Saturday, you end up weighing in 2.42. Did that have you in the lead overnight? Like it did.
No, I think we were sitting in second place.
Second. Oh, of course, yeah. Okay, Travis and Josh got a cracking bag. All right, second.
Yeah, they brained it.
Second place. So leading out on day two, does that put you in second place coming out?
Yep.
Very good. All right, tell us about day two.
Day two, same thing, pass the marshal, give him a wave, motor, 15, 20 seconds. electric motor in, and start fishing the same snags.
Okay. And did you just go straight to the bent minnows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Had a few swirls, lost a few bent minnows again, and then slowly I started picking up a few fish.
Right. And on the Saturday afternoon, did you go and restock some bent minnows somewhere?
No, we had a full social event at the caravan park. Callum Dowell and Steve Owens. So Steve Owens organised a herring master competition overnight, and Callum Dowell organised like a tour where you bet lures against each other, and obviously you can lose a lot of lures or you can win a lot of lures.
It sounds like fishing, mate. That sounds pretty cool. That's the first time. I did notice some things online leading up to the event, but didn't realise what had happened. That sounds very cool.
Yeah, it was a very, very fun night.
And what's a herring muster? I don't know what that is.
So they go down and, it's like a mini comp where you just start catching herring from the wharf down the boat ramp. And obviously whoever catches the most herring wins. I think Jenny Gardner took that out actually. And then I can't remember who plays second and third, but there was some prize packs and some cash to go for that as well.
Wow, big weekend. There you go. All right, let's get back to Sunday. So you're fishing the bent minnows, you've started to catch some fish. How the rest of your day play out? Did the surface bite stay around for a while, or did you have to go straight through to plastics?
No, so day 2 was a grind. It probably took us another hour and a half on top of that to get bag. And then the numbers just weren't there. We started running and gunning and trying to hit the same sort of areas that the fish just weren't there.
Wow.
We sort of went into I wouldn't say a panic, but we hit a few more spots that we didn't hit in day 1.
Okay. And so then we spoke touched a little bit about this before I hit record, but did your active target come into play on day 2?
Yeah. So I did notice that they weren't up on the snags. They were probably on that first little drop or second little drop away from the snags. And that's predominantly where we got a lot of our upgrades later in the day.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. All right. And then if they're on that second drop off, did you just run with the swim throughout the rest of the day?
Yeah. And so I was running motor oil and Maddie was running bloodworm. I'm just trying to dial them in a little bit better. But yeah, that's fishing, isn't it?
That is fishing. Was it a case of similar to the way you were fishing snags, where you kind of throw it in, let it sink to the bottom and then slow wind it out?
Yeah, exactly right.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So for the day, you ended up with 1.53. Did you drop any that hurt you a lot?
Yeah, we dropped a couple early in the snags on the bents. You're up in the snags, you're right at the back, you're casting into dead men sort of territory, and you got to get them to bite, don't you? So it's get the bite, and they run straight down into the snags and bust you off.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Like we said, you've got to get the bite. You don't catch a fish that is not near you or doesn't have a go at it. So
exactly right.
All right. I reckon that covers the fishing. It was enough to give you 3.95 for your 8 fish and reasonably comfortably in third place. Do you remember what you guys got to take home for third place?
Yeah, I think it was $800 cash and vouchers. So I think it was like $550 cash, $250 in vouchers. We got a small diver bait junkie lure pack each, and another little bag of goodies with some atomics and some like squidgies and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool. All right, mate. Mate, what I want to do is say thank you for coming on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, I'm sure we're going to get to speak to you again in the future, and say hi to Matt for me, and we'll grab him on the next one.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks for having us. It's always a pleasure talking to you. If I'm talking to you, I'm doing something right.
That's it. The only thing I forgot to do is give you a chance to give a shout out, mate. So is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Or did it backwards?
Yeah, I do. So Adam at Dizzy Scent, I use a lot of his scents on a lot of my stuff, and it's top shelf stuff. It really is. Adam at fishing.com. Anytime I need anything, he's got it here that, in a couple of days, it's unbelievable. And then the wider crew. So, Alex, Jojo, Paul, Kim, and Dave, they they do an absolute awesome job. Without them, these things wouldn't keep going. And Dave coming on board this year for photos, like I don't know if you've noticed, but on the website and on the Facebook page, a lot of that stuff's Dave with all these images and artworks, and he's just hit the ball out of the park with all that stuff.
Exactly. No, I did notice the photos. There's definitely a bunch of photos there, which is very cool. All right, that's brilliant, mate. Mate, like I said, mate, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and hopefully we get to speak to yourself and yourself or Maddie next time.
Thanks for having us.
No worries at all. All right. Fishing.com.au, your one-stop bream lure and tackle shop. Pick up the latest tackle, including Muscle Vibes, Cranker Crabs, OSP bent minnows, Z-Man plastics, Eco Gear lures, and Daiwa rods, reels, and tackle. Same-day shipping. Shop where the world champion, the Australian champion, and the current AVT champion shops. Fishing.com.au, online or in-store at shop 18/29 Kiora Road, Miranda. All right, so a couple of specials Adam's got going. He still has the zip baits on like a 2-for-1 deal. So Adam's got the 2-for-1 deal on the zip baits. The problem is I can't remember which ones they are and I can't seem to locate it. So you're going to have to get in contact with Adam and he'll sort you out for that. What I will say about the zip baits, one of the cool things about them, they have the sliding mag weights in them. So when you cast these, the lead flies to the back of the lure and it makes it cast really well. And then once you twitch it forward, it will come back to the front of the lure and sit in the perfect position to give you a great action. All right. Aside from that, if you're coming to Woy Woy, you're jumping in the Hobies and coming to Woy Woy in a couple of weeks, there's a couple of lures that I think you should consider or maybe have in your pack. One is a crabby, a gold crabby in camo. You can buy them in the tubs, throw them on whatever jig head you like. You're not going to go too far wrong. Your crabs and your cranker crabs and your outback brimmerbait mussels, they're going to cover some of your structure fishing and what have you. And the third, actually, there's a few more things. So the Eco Gear Aqua Prawn in 50 mil, that's definitely worth a shot, as well as I'm going to have a bunch of atomic cranks, so crank 38s for cranking racks and weed flats. And one last thing, there could be a deep bite up there. So you're going to have to look at your blades and all that sort of stuff, as well as getting into the bigger vibes, such as the Vibalicious out of Smarky. So it'd be definitely worth having a look in your kit. It might be a big fish lure up there. Heaps of stuff to look at fishing.com.au. So jump online and have a look. All right. So coming in second place with 4 fish for 2.19 kilos on the Saturday. Backing it up on the Sunday with another 4 fish for 1.86 kilos, giving them just over 4 kilos at 4.057. I've got Alex Griesdorf and Ben Oakes. Welcome back and welcome to the show.
G'day.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
So there you go, guys. Another nice result. So second place down the Blackwood. So you both be cheering, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah. It's a good effort. Not what we wanted, not the win, but I'll take second.
The second's a good place to be, but there was a bit of ground to be caught up to take first place, I reckon.
You're not first, you're last.
Exactly.
No, if you're not first, you're second. Second's pretty good. Let's double back through. Did you guys get a chance to get down there and have a pre-fish prior to the competition?
Yeah, we did about 5. Me and Ben together, we did about 5 weeks out from the event. We spent a day down there and fished a sort of afternoon session and caught lots of fish. And then I think Ben went down. What did you go down a couple more times in between, didn't you, Ben?
Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks out. Yeah, and I just did the Arvo fish pretty well.
Yeah. Okay, so that was in preparation for the afternoon session, which didn't occur. So you reckon the afternoon session fished all right?
It did for me. Yeah.
Yeah. It fished all right when we fished together, and then Ben probably did better when he went down solo a few weeks later. So we were pretty confident with afternoon sessions, and then the power of people changed things, and we didn't get an afternoon session. We went back to a morning midday bite.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's roll around to comp day. So give us a bit of a rundown of how your day went. Did you get them nice and early or late, or how did that look?
You want to tell the story of day? You can tell the story of day 2, Ben. How about that? I'll do day 1.
Oh, okay.
Ben was battling the influenza or whatever he had, which was causing him to hack up a lung most of the day. But we caught plenty of fish pretty much straight up. We got our biggest fish of the day within the first sort of half hour and had a bag.
How big was that bad boy?
Oh, it was like, 850 or something like that? 800 grams?
Yeah, nice.
Wasn't it, Ben, from memory? Not a huge fish, but a solid fish.
4-4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just something like that.
Typical Blackwood style.
Yeah. So we got that pretty much straight up, and then we sort of got a bag, and then we started hunting around for there, and we got plenty of fish, but we probably wasted a bit of time doing different things. I didn't sort of concentrate on where we were catching the fish. We were sort of trying a few different things just to see if they were in different areas and this and that. But I mean, look, the Blackwood's been a funny place. If the weather conditions are like they were, which was sunny and relatively still, the bag weights go right down. Like, it's very tough to get a big bag.
Mm.
Whereas if it's cloudy and rainy and high tide, you're probably a good kilo difference in your bag weights.
Sure.
Just in the size of fish that are cruising around and feeding. So we would have caught, I don't know, 60, 70 fish for the day. Well, I caught most of them. Ben didn't catch that many. But,
I was a day boy.
he was a good net boy. That's right. Exactly. So, but either way, I mean, the great thing about a team event is you work together. Some days, I mean, last year in Albany, Ben caught all the fish on one day, and that day I caught all the fish. It works great in a team event. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And how'd you target them? Like, when you went out of the gates, did you go and target flats or drop-offs or channels, and what you do?
Well, I mean, I guess it's like a sandy point. It's probably where we targeted the first thing, the sandy sort of reedy point. Got a bit of timber on it as well. And yeah, we know it's a sort of reliable spot for a big one. If you're going to catch a big one early, it's always a good chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we sort of hit that up to start with. And like I said, we got one good one and then filled a bag out around there. And then we were throwing mainly, you were throwing a jerkbait around a bit, and I was throwing a slim swim or one of the little mussels, Joey's mussels, the little pippy mussel or whatever he calls it, pygmy mussel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing goes all right, eh?
It does go all right, that thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, Joseph done extremely well, and I think you did pretty well on it as well before it was released, if I'm correct.
Yeah. No, Joey's been lucky, very happy. I think throwing me a few mussels and me catching fish on them. Put it that way. So thanks, Joey, for that.
Good promotion. So Ben, you did have a tough day. Did you get any fish? I think we said before you were using a double clutch, maybe. Did you actually get some fish, or?
So I didn't get any on the double clutch. So I put that aside after the first bank, and then I was alternating between slim swims and Joey's mussel, and I was getting fish. Just none of those fish that I caught on day one ended up in the bag. Yeah, but then day two was a bit different, which was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, between the two of you, I was enough to bring you back with 2.19. Where'd that have you guys overnight?
We were second. We were fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth place.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And so based on that, did you change up your plan for day two, or just go and rinse and repeat, or what do you think?
I decided not to throw hard bodies on day two.
Okay, fair enough. And were you feeling better on day two? Was day two like a better day for you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it was how I was feeling that was affecting my fishing, to be honest. I think it was just the conditions, just that real clear water and the no wind chop and no cloud was just making the fish a bit spookier. That's my excuse anyway. Yeah, and the fish that I got on day two, we were fishing a deeper bank, so obviously the fish wouldn't have been as spooky, and the wind had blown up on it a little bit. And so, yeah, I was just pitching Joey's mussel into the snags, into the deep snags.
Yeah.
It's lucky enough to get a couple of good ones.
Definitely. So with that, if you're pitching them into the snags, how do you go not snagging up on them? What are they like?
They're quite good. So you just drag them out carefully. They almost kind of swim out.
Yeah.
And so the treble, the way that he's set up the pygmy, the treble sits behind the lure.
Mm-hmm.
So you can almost pull it out like a crankbait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Fair enough. And you obviously had a better day. Like, you got a few in the bag.
Yeah. I think day two we ended up with 4 fish, and they were all 29 forkers, and 2 of them were mine. So I was pretty content that I'd sort of done my little bit for the team.
Yeah. Fair enough. And what about you, Alex? How'd you go about getting your fish on day two?
Well, it was real quiet for the first hour and a half, Ben? We didn't really have anything until about probably 8 o'clock. And then...
Yeah, it was a worry.
Yeah, we were like, what's going on here? And it was funny. Ben had been throwing the pygmy around on a couple of the other banks for a while and not really catching much at all. And I'd been throwing a slim swim it was mainly a slim swim and a plastic, like a grub or something. And then we went to another bank that was even more dead still. And I thought, I'll just have a go with a pygmy. And I think it was first cast. I got a 29 and a half forker. And I was like, oh, maybe they're eating this today, Ben. And he'd been throwing it for like an hour and not caught bugger all.
Right.
I think it was like 2 casts later, I got another leak. And then we had 2 fish in the space of 10 minutes. And then after that, we just sort of started rolling through fish. It was kind of weird. It went, as soon as we changed bank or kind of changed the area, we almost immediately started catching fish. And we were only, 500 meters more up the river, a K further up the river. It wasn't like a massive change.
Yeah, but it was those upriver banks that kind of shut down, didn't they?
Yeah. They were real. I don't know if they've just been flogged on day one, but they definitely changed. Yeah. But once we sort of worked out the pattern, which was basically, I think between the two of us, we ended up throwing the pygmy and a slim swim or a crankbait most of the rest of the day.
Yeah, okay. With the pygmy, that's a pretty small lure. What are you guys throwing it on? How are you getting it out there?
So I was just throwing it on 4 pound and just a fairly slow rod. I like a fairly slow rod.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of feel if it's in the fish's mouth.
Yeah.
Because you don't really set the hook on it. I don't anyway. I just kind of lean into it.
Yeah.
And so you constantly just kind of, it's almost like, it's like fishing a crab. You just sort of constantly feeling if there's anything there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that bit of a slower action.
Yeah. And where you were fishing, was there current? Was it rolling with the current as well, or were you just kind of cranking it back or, slowly winding it back?
The banks with current obviously fished a bit better, but it still does work when there's no current.
Yeah, okay.
There wasn't a hell of a lot of flow, to be honest. There was probably more flow in the first hour of the day than the rest of the day. There was a very slow incoming tide, but the majority of the flow was till about, 8:30, 8 in the morning, and then it sort of turned to a real slow incoming. Yeah.
But it didn't really fish that well in the morning when the flow was there anyway.
Nah.
Yeah, okay.
Nah. I mean, on day one it did, but day two it didn't. It was weird.
Yeah, that is weird. And did you come across many boats? Was there many people around you, or you're fishing alone, or how'd that look?
Oh, there was people around, but the Blackwood, in the boats, you got plenty of room. It's a big river, and people with boats, there's a lot of room to fish.
Yeah.
That when we shot up to that corner right up to go fish there, and there was
3 boats.
boats.
On day 2, we went about 10 k's up the river to fish one little bank, and we drove all the way up there, and then there's 3 boats all flogging around it, and it's drive all the way back. But we did go up there and catch a fish. It wasn't an upgrade, but it was a fish.
Fair enough. Oh, there you go. Throughout the day, did you lose anything? Any ones that you went, oh, geez, I needed that one?
Nah, not on day 2. There was one, I reckon, on day 1 that I lost, which felt really solid, but I don't. Unless you see them, you don't really know. We didn't see any that we lost that we thought, they were a donkey,
Yeah, okay.
I lost a few, but they were already over the snags, and you can never tell in the wood. You just load up, and that's it. Your fish is gone. You can never tell how big they are.
Yeah, okay. Oh, there you go. All right. I think that covers the fishing. Is there anything we missed? You were basically using the pygmy mussels, slim swims, and cranks. I think that pretty much covers what you're doing. Is there anything we kind of missed out on?
No, not really. That was pretty much all we fished, wasn't it? Remember?
I threw prawn, but I don't think any of those fish ended up in the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Ben was fishing 4 pound. I was fishing 5 pound on most of my leaders. And, I mean, my rods are a bit stiffer and sort of stump pullers than what Ben runs. But other than that, nothing really extravagantly exciting, unfortunately, mate. We were pretty stock standard.
Stock standard, but still with a result.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's move on. What do you guys get to take home for second place?
So I think it was about $600 in cash, and another was it $600 or $700 in cash, and then about $400 in vouchers or something like that from memory.
Yeah, but the packs from Daiwa were really good as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Tackle West. Yeah, from Tackle West they did a bunch of packs. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. Each packs had a bunch of those Spike 44s and Kadashis and a bunch of plastics and jig heads. It was good. Yeah. One of the better packs I've seen in a while.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
As long as the other normal sponsors all chucked in stuff as well, from Z-Mans to Pro Lures and all that. There was 2 lots of bags full of stuff, which was good.
Wow, that's very cool. That's very cool. All right. I think that covers it all. So before we head off, guys, I want to thank you both for coming on. But is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Say thank you to.
Alex for weighing in the day one bag.
Fair enough. Someone had to do it.
Well, hopefully somebody did it.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have been a lot smaller day one otherwise. Yeah.
No, a shout out for me is just the companies that looked after me, Lawrence and the boys at TT, with all the gear I get from those guys. And yeah, I mean, big thanks to the sponsors. Without the sponsors of our events, we don't have them over here. So I know Tackle West obviously was the round sponsor, and then the rest of the other sponsors that we have on our series, from Atomic to Shimano to Lawrence to Complete Angler to Getaway Outdoors, Hobie, and all the main guys. I'm probably forgetting some, but yeah, Duff Rods and Pro Lure and that sort of stuff all jump on our series, which is really good.
Definitely. I know that through talking to you guys that the sponsors look after you really well, which is very cool.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to leave it there, guys. So thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we get to talk to you again after the next one.
Hopefully.
Thanks, Andrew.
Cheers, Andrew.
Thank you. All right. So look, if you're in the market for a new fishing kayak or looking to make some upgrades to your existing kayak, or possibly looking at kayak fishing tournaments, then HWS is the place to go. Now, they have a full range of Hobie kayaks, stock the latest kayak accessories, and are really dialed in when it comes to the best kayak fishing setup for the casual fisher or the tournament anglers. hws.com.au, online or in store at Shop 3/638 Princess Pacific Highway, Belmont. Free delivery on Hobie kayaks across all the Greater Sydney, Central Coast and Hunter. Now, as we lead into winter, I know I've talked about this a lot. You really should have a look at these Lovick pants if you haven't got a pair. It's about to get cold, particularly anyone that's going to come down to Malakuta. Could be freezing, and you're going to be toasty warm with a pair of these on and some tracky pants underneath, and maybe 2 pairs of socks. But either way, definitely worth having a look at. They're on sale at the moment. They could have new ones coming out soon. I'm not quite sure, but definitely keep an eye on that. Also, if you jump on James's page, you can definitely see that picture of James in the blue jacket. Definitely worth getting on there to have a look at. And the last thing I would say is anyone heading to Woy Woy, James will be up there. So if you need stuff delivered, just hook it up and get him to bring it down, or get someone to bring it down, and he can meet you down there. How good's that? All right. And in first place, dropping 4 fish on day 1 for 2.73 kilos, backing it up on day 2 with 4 fish for 2.28 kilos, giving them a total of 5.010 for their 8 fish. I've got Team Absolutely Crabulous, Travis Newland and Josh Phillips. Welcome back, guys.
G'day, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. Good to be back.
Here we are again, first round of the year. How good's that?
Absolutely thrilled with that one.
Absolutely. And, we'll get into this later, but you won by just under a kilo, so more or less a kilo. So absolutely fantastic win.
Yep, very satisfying.
All right. So this is what we're going to do, a couple of things. So before we get into the fishing, I do want to make mention of the little thing you're doing on YouTube with the Western Australian Tournament Anglers, the WADA data. So Josh, do you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Sure. So over my Christmas holidays, maybe had a little bit too much spare time and went back and scraped the WADA website results over the last 5 years, consolidated all of that, and basically sliced and diced the data to sort of see how anglers had performed over that sort of time frame. And the idea was to try and see what trends and correlations I might be able to find in that data.
Yeah.
Looking at individual anglers, but also looking at the various fisheries that we have in WA. So we've sort of got 7 or 8 main fisheries that we use for the tournaments in WA. And to sort of see then also, I wanted to track the relativity of my performance in tournaments against all the other anglers. And so then, that's why I did it. I wanted to look back over the last 5 years of data and see how I'd compared and how I'd improved and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. What I found interesting, sorry to cut you off there, is based on the data, you're able to give some sort of predictions on who might be ranked number one for the upcoming comps, which I think was just interesting.
Yeah. So I've developed what I call it a power ranking system. So power ranking systems exist in lots of different sports where people run all sorts of stats, and tried to figure out a way to not just based on the weight that you weigh in at the weigh-in, but also look at big brim and the completeness of the bag that you weigh in. So if it's a 4 fish limit, making sure that you'd actually weighed in 4, to then come up with an index. So you're converting the mass of the fish that you've weighed in into an index, which is relative to the performance of the rest of the field in that event. So you then get a normalization of your results across multiple events, which then you can start seeing trends. So yeah, it's a little bit of, I don't know what you call it, an algorithm, I guess, is the technical term, to see over time how anglers perform. And the fishery health was the other one. And then to also just try and create a bit more like cohesion for, I guess, a tournament series, create a bit more of a narrative and a drama around what's going on with tournaments. I think it's just nice to have a little bit more discussion. And the other aspect would be you hear a lot of talk amongst anglers, around the campfires or barbecues and the like at these events around, how various people are performing, but it's rarely based on on data. It's usually just based on opinion. So I thought, well, why not just actually back it up with data?
Okay. So I've got two questions following up with that. First off is, where can people go to have a look at that to see what we're talking about?
So at the moment, I'm filming little videos pre and post event for each of the WADA rounds, which are posted on the socials for the WA tournament anglers. So you can see them on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, or you'll see all the links at least. So yeah, you can go there and check them out. At the moment, all of the data per se, I'm just keeping that offline, but I think ultimately we'll eventually get it online, and then anglers can go in and troll the results and sort of slice and dice it and see all of the interesting things that I see behind the scenes.
Very good. And leading into this last event, who was power ranked number one? Who was supposed to be the winning team?
Well, so Alex Griesdorf and Ben Oakes were the top power ranked team for a Blackwood boat event, and that's based on prior results. Yeah. So those guys definitely have some really strong history at that venue.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because the numbers will point towards this sort of thing, but we all know that on any given day, anyone can come from anywhere in the field and win. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic, I think. Well, there you go. All right, let's get into your competition. So how do you guys go in terms of pre-fish? Did you get a chance to get down there and have a fish before the comp?
No, I don't think we did. I think the only time I've been down there was for a separate kayak event. I think in terms of competitions, I think it's been probably I think we said over a year, I think, Josh.
Yeah, it was the 2022 grand final, I believe. Is that right?
Okay. Yep. So quite a period of time. Okay. So given that, how did you guys prepare for it? Did you do some study? I bet you did.
I think going into it, I think we had a bit of discussion, but I think we just based it off the tides for the weekend. That plays a pretty big part. I mean, the Blackwood's a system where you got drop-offs, flats, edges, you got it all. So it is hard to make the call, but I think with how low it was, I think that pretty much decided where we would start day one.
Yeah. It's such a big river, and with that many teams as well, and we don't have the fastest boat, there's also other factors there. So we were kind of thinking we're probably not going to be running and gunning. We're just going to pretty much start fishing very soon after our launch and just fish our way upriver. That was kind of...
We were team 25, weren't we? 26 to launch?
Yeah.
Okay, so going in, the plan was to just basically fish the system as you see it. So launch, start fishing.
Pretty much. We went upriver just a fraction from the launch to where we started, and then that was it. And then we pretty much just systematically covered the type of bank that we felt was going to hold the better fish.
Okay. So one question then before you actually start getting into the fishing. What do you guys have tied on before you started fishing? We start with you, Trev.
I had Razor Edge Lures Bruce, a slim swim. What else was it? I think I had 2 slim swims actually, just different colours and different weights.
And then I think it was maybe a baby vibe and I can't remember the other one. Might have been another hard body variety, but yeah, pretty much start off with that basic 4: Slim Swim, Bruce, and yeah, normally like a vibe or some sort of deep metal vibe.
Okay. And Josh?
Yeah, I had a mussel, one of the Outback Brimmerbait mussels, a bent minnow, Bruce, a Slim Swim, and one of the Razor Edge Fat Boy Swims. So they're paddle tail.
Okay, I'll have to look them up. All right, let's get into the fishing. How you started just a little bit upriver. How'd you go about getting your first couple of fish?
I think day one we pulled up onto, I think a bank was about 3 to 4 meters, just pretty much at the start of the ski. There's a certain section that had the ski signs pretty much from that point onwards. I think the first fish was like a 30 centimetre pretty much within the first 5-10 minutes. But after that, I think it took us quite a while to actually find where the fish was sitting. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Josh.
I'd started off with a bent and was only getting sort of small fish on the surface, and then it wasn't until we drifted up to a section of overhanging tea trees, and I lobbed in muss and let it drop down right next to one of the deeper tea tree snags, and then picked up the first of actually that was a second of the legals for the well, and that was a 33, and then that sort of I started focusing more on the muss at that point, and seemed to really be getting a lot of interest on that, and just and there was a fair bit of run that morning too. So then trying to find the right banks where I was going to be able to get a really natural drift of that muss past the tea trees was kind of key then.
Okay. So if you're casting the shore with the muss, are you using the current to push it kind of sideways along the shore?
I was kind of casting diagonally to the shore, upstream, like into the current, and then, trying to keep the line sort of just under enough tension so I could feel the bite, and you can't really give them an inch in that system either. If you've got too much slack on the line and they pick it up, you're just gone instantly.
Right.
So, just enough tension to be able to feel the bite, set the hook, and just wind hard.
Yeah, okay.
Keep the rod up. So, that was kind of the trick. And then there was a fair bit of breeze on day one too, so that was a factor. So, trying to get the right angle of the boat. Trav's a gun at positioning the boat, so that makes a huge difference.
I think a lot of the times I think we ended up casting like almost parallel just because of the run out, and then the wind direction made it quite hard.
Yeah.
I know that kind of helps, like Josh said, when you're actually getting the bites and hooking up. Quite often you got that slack line and within a couple of seconds you're off. They bust you off that quick, especially fishing the deeper water. So I think, the boat positioning was one of the main things as well. And then obviously with the wind making it a bit harder to obviously feel the bite. So that was pretty key, I think, in terms of just general.
Yeah, conversion.
Yeah. And I guess like if you're casting upriver on a diagonal towards the bank, you'd probably have to cast in the right angle to be able to get the line to sit in the right way to be able to feel the lure. Does that sound accurate? Like if you cast too square onto the bank, you're not going to feel it.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And by the time the lure had kind of got down to like where your line is kind of perpendicular to the bank, if you were like letting it drift down, you're kind of losing touch with it by that point because your line's sort of getting too much of a belly in it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. So you got it sounds like you got a couple in the well. How'd you go on from here?
I think where we picked up the fish, I just kind of think we found a pattern from that, like in terms of depth and structure, and then kind of just pick spots zigzagging upriver. We kind of had a certain section or limit, I suppose, of how far we would want to go upriver, and then we just kind of worked out where our higher chances were of getting the good quality fish. So I think we just zigzagged up and just picked maybe one or two, or depends on a few other fish off a certain spot, and then we'll just kind of have to work away and find a new spot and then maybe fish it later and give it a bit of a break.
It was all about the depth was a key factor and what the actual substrate was. So finding sort of 2 to 3 meter depth with a decent drop off, and most of it was around like where we had either some sort of tea trees or just sandy banks. Actually, that's where we found the better ones. So then just trying to find the right depth with the right structure was kind of key then.
Yeah. And when you talk about drop off, so you're talking just a gradual incline, or are you talking about actual come across and then drop down a couple of metres.
Yeah, pretty sharp drop-offs, to be honest, as in dropping a couple of metres within the space of maybe 3 metres or so.
Yeah.
So fairly steep.
Pretty steep banks. And you're sort of bouncing your muscles or whatever down that.
Yeah.
Down that sort of drop-off.
Correct.
Yeah, there's quite a clear line where the sand edge was and then the drop-off, so that quite often your bites would be right on that edge.
Yeah, cool.
The water in this system has kind of like a particular colour, like a greeny hue to it, and it's a little bit cloudy, and it provides the fish with like quite good camouflage and cover where they can come into quite open water away from the structure and not be seen beyond a certain depth. And it seems that they know exactly what that depth is, and they'll do their best. So that you can throw your lure in there and you can pretty much see your lure, and as soon as your lure disappears out of sight, then that's exactly where the bite is in the water column. So they just sit at that particular depth. Well, that's what we found this weekend, at least. It's not always like that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know through interviewing the guys over the Vic Brim and the Victorian rounds, they were looking for cleaner water in general. They weren't looking for cloudy water. So it's kind of interesting what you're saying.
The water is quite relatively clear. Like you can see, I'd say easily 2 meters in this river. Yeah, so it's relatively clear for our systems over here.
Yeah, I would say that's probably that's pretty clear sort of rundown. All right. Yeah. So when you end up filling out your bag?
It was actually pretty quick, actually, from after that first one. And when we started using the mass, we went to the opposite bank. I think I got next one was a 37 in the well, which basically just skipped it out from the tea tree. And the next one was a 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And we had a full bag at that point then.
Yeah, you got a four fish bag, 37, 35. Like you probably got maybe 2 kilos.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right. So where'd you go from there? How'd you end up upgrading the rest of your bag?
So day one, same location though. Same location up in the ski area. Yeah. So we went up into the ski area to a particular beach and lobbed the Bruce, the green pumpkin Bruce, and just worked that down the drop off and got clunked by this a 42 tipper, which was, a lovely fish to have in the bag at that point, and upgraded a low 30s fish. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been quite a reliable stretch of river. I think it's quite a sharp bend in the actual system there. So I don't know if something with the flow or something must push them up into the back corner because, over the years it's been quite a successful little stretch.
Yeah. This little lure you're using, the razor edge Bruce, it's a little creature bait. And I think, did you say you're using in pumpkin?
Yes.
The green pumpkin, yeah.
Green pumpkin.
So there's an original green pumpkin, the very original batch, and there's not many of those around. That you might be lucky to find some in the odd angler's tackle box. They're not available on the shelves.
Yeah.
But then there's a new OG that he's released. So in between those two versions, there was a version 2 that was brought out, which is slightly different colours. So what we found is that the very originals and the new OGs quite similar in colour, and they both seem to attract more bites than the version 2. So it's quite interesting, but they're a darker colour, the 2 that I've mentioned, than the V2s, and for whatever reason, they just seem to get more bites, at least in our fisheries here.
Yeah, interesting. And what do you get? Are you putting in those?
I was using a 1/8 jig head. I actually can't remember the exact variety, but yeah, it was a very heavy jig head on that occasion because of the wind predominantly and the depth we were fishing in. I just really wanted to get it down and keep it on the bottom.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right. So you've got your 42 in the bag, which I think turned out to be the big brim for the comp. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was interesting. Look, we talked about this before. It was a 42 tipper, which would be about 38 fork. You'd think that'd be a kilo every day of the week, but it only went 950, I think. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it was pretty underwhelming. I mean, looking in the well, it looked big, but yeah, obviously just not that much muscle mass. Yeah,
and look, I think there's been a trend of that in the last few sets of interviews I've done over here, and some from South Australia as well, where they go, yeah, I've got a 38 and a 37 and all this sort of stuff, but the weights kind of didn't seem to add up to that. So they're obviously a skinny runner fish.
Yeah, and it's probably something to do with the time of year, I think.
Yeah, I think so. All right. So after you caught your 42, was there any more for the day, more or less, or was that about the day?
No upgrades after that. No, I think that was pretty much it. We got that one at about maybe 11 o'clock, something like that.
I think our smallest at that point was a 32. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think later in the day I may have got like a half a centimetre upgrade, but it was very minor. So, I mean, we still caught plenty of fish, but just couldn't find that bigger model.
And after we did catch the big one and we felt like we had a reasonable bag, we said it might be worthwhile just going for a bit of a mission downstream and checking out some of the flats and just see how it was fishing down there in case we needed options on day 2. So it was really just a bit of scouting. And it was an area of flats that we hadn't really focused on in any previous events. So it was trying to just sort of see if we could unlock a new pattern in a different terrain just in case we needed options.
Yeah,
sure. Well, that was going to be one of my questions, was did you find any patterns or in that back half of the day that helped you on the Sunday?
I think going into day 2, I think we just continued with the theory of just fishing the similar. I think that's really, I mean, Josh got his big one off the drop-off and then pretty much got all that better fish out deeper. So I think we just continued day 2 with that kind of theory and went from there.
Cool. All right. Well, let's roll into day 2. I think you guys are in the lead overnight by a decent margin. Yeah, tell us about how day 2 played out.
I'll start it, Josh.
You were the one that were boating the fish first up, at least.
I think going into it, I think both of us had the same sort of stuff rigged up. I don't know if did you rig a bent that day too as well?
Actually, yeah, I did. I did have a bent rigged again. Yep.
Rigged up pretty similar. I think even we started probably about 50 to 100 metres back a bit earlier compared to where we started day 1. But yeah, I mean, we probably had a smaller average on day 2 in terms of our initial bag. And it definitely took us a bit longer to fill the bag. But then again, I think just persisting upriver, fishing those drop-offs with both the Muss and the Bruce ended up getting us those crucial upgrades again.
Yeah, it was funny. On the second day, I was struggling a little bit more with the Muss. And I think maybe it was slightly less run or the wind. I'm not, or I don't know. But for whatever reason, I wasn't quite getting the same amount of interest on that. And I was focusing more on the Bruce on day 2. And that was still getting plenty of interest.
I think in general, we just fished a lot slower as well because a lot of the banks we'd pull up and there'd be quite a big school of fish on there, but they'd all be like just legals. And then I think a lot of areas where we did pull a bigger fish was quite often where we didn't catch many, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd find the quality and not the quantity on those ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so seems like the little fish were schooled up a little bit more than maybe the big fish.
Yeah.
That sounds fair.
Definitely.
Okay. And in terms of the 2 days, where'd you end up? You ended up with just slightly less on day.
We haven't got to the last upgrade there yet, which was what I alluded to earlier on, where we went back to the exact bank where we got the big one on day 1.
Same time.
And exactly the same time of day. So this is around about 11 o'clock. And that was when nature called and Trav went ashore and it sort of beached the boat, the nose of the boat. And I just went up to the back of the boat and had a flick, down the drop off and got clunked by a decent fish. It was like a 37 or so, but I was literally just stuck at the back of the boat with no net, no lecky or anything. And then
you were drifting away. Lecky was
just starting to,
And here I am out of it, and I see Josh in the live one. I said, "Don't tell me." He's like, "Yep, I just upgraded."
How good's that?
I was hoping to quickly do a sneaky upgrade and put it in the well, and then not tell Trav, and then for him to open the well at some point and be surprised by what we had.
Funny enough, it's not the first time that's happened as well with that same bank.
Right.
True.
Is there a name for the bank? Is it like 2 Point or something like that?
Have to be from now on.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right. And in terms of the fishing, was there much else to say about day 2? Like, did you crack any other patterns or anything surprise you?
Well, the wind picked up again. The wind was much, much lighter during the morning on day 2, which I think did make it a little bit tougher fishing. but we just weren't getting the numbers that we were on day one. But when the wind picked up and we'd already had what we felt was a reasonable bag, we then said, let's just go hit some flats for the last couple of hours. And that's what we did. And we found like hundreds of fish on the flats, and a lot more than we had on the day one in our little, scouting mission. So that was actually really fun, a fun way to finish the tournament. And we actually managed to get one upgrade Trav got an upgrade on the flats as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And what were you throwing on the flats?
I was throwing a Bruce and a Slim Swim, I think.
Yeah, I was throwing a Slim Swim and a jerkbait, a little riggy, shallow jerkbait.
Okay. With the plastics then, how are you just slow rolling those? Are you hopping them across the bottom? Or how's that kind of look?
Bit of a mixture, because normally the area we fish, there's normally quite a lot of weed through there, which strangely enough, I think a lot of that was burnt out. So it was quite a lot of just broken sand and rubble. So the weed wasn't much of an issue. So I think I was fishing the Bruce. I was just pretty much dragging it through the sand.
Yeah, okay.
Similar thing with the Slim Swims.
Sorry, with the riggy, was it, which model was it? It was like the 40 or the 50 and deep or shallow?
It was the shallow 50. Yep, in the sort of reddy colour. It's golden red, actually. I don't know the code for that pattern, but yeah.
Yeah, very good. Very good. All right. Well, it sounds like a pretty good tournament. It was a pretty impressive win in terms of numbers. Like we said, nearly a kilo above the rest of the field, just 40 grams off that. One thing actually I do want to cover. So across the competition, what sort of lines and leaders were you running? And did you use any scent on the comp?
I normally just run the Ghost and casting. I think it's P 0.6, 0.8.
0.6, I think.
Yeah, 0.6. And then just normally, I think I just ran 4 pound the Yamato Paris Fighter all weekend.
And Josh?
Yeah, I was running all of the PE 0.6 Varavas mainline, the Eggy braid, and I was using the Daiwa thread, the red one, whatever that is, in 4 pound.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Is that the X-Link or the Crosslink?
Yeah, the Crosslink one. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Very good. And in terms of scents, do you guys use them? I can't remember that we spoke about that.
Bro, 0 cent, I think.
0 cent?
Yeah. No scent.
There you go. All right. I reckon that's a good coverage of the fishing. What did you guys get to take home for first place?
We cleaned up, to be honest. Like we're absolutely spoiled by sponsors in this round. So we picked up, it was $1,200 cash.
Yep.
2 Daiwa Revelries, $600 worth of Tackle West vouchers. That's as part of the main prize. And then we got another $500 worth of Tackle West vouchers for the Big Brim. So it works out to be about $3,200 odd in cash and prizes, which we were absolutely stoked with that.
Yeah, that's a great win. And as much as it's good to get cash, it's pretty good to get vouchers to a tackle shop.
Yeah, we always
I'm not complaining. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it means you go down there and you just got to blow it. That's all you can do with it.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a revelry. We've got to match that with something, right?
Absolutely. No, the revelries are awesome. All right. I think that covers all of that. So one last thing before we head off. Is there anyone that you guys want to give a shout out to?
I think in general, I think the Water Boys did a pretty good job with the event, and Tackle West for coming on board for the sponsoring the round. And then shout out to Chris from Razor Edge Lures. He locally makes them down here, down south. We get a bit of a discount through him for some of the soft plastics and jig heads. So, yeah.
And definitely a big thanks to all the other competitors that showed up. It was one of our best turnouts that we'd had to a boat event in a while. So that was excellent. The Malloy Hideaway Holiday Park, where the event is hosted, it's just such an awesome spot to go to fish and just a holiday. Awesome bush scene with kangaroos and birds and all that sort of nature stuff. It's such a lovely place to stay. And we should give a shout out to Dave Bennett for all of his work behind the camera. He's been doing quite a lot of helping behind the scenes for WADA and with me for the WADA data little videos that we're putting out. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Very good. All right. Well, I reckon that sounds like a fantastic event. Congratulations to you guys. And thanks for coming on the show again. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us again. Yeah, hopefully we get to chat with you again later in the year.
Next one.
Let's hope. Yeah. Maybe the very next round. We'll see how you go.
Fingers crossed.
My stats suggest that Mandurah is not our friend, so we're unlikely to be speaking with you in June. Never mind.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Cheers. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right. So there you have it. Another great episode. 3 interesting interviews with Travis and Josh. Absolutely knocking it out of the park at the end of the day. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to wrap this episode up quite quickly. Apologies for not being able to get the announcements out properly on time. I'm doing my best and we will get there. Now, I have a stack of great shows lined up. I've got a bunch recorded and I've got a bunch recording as this comes out. I think I've got 10 interviews over Monday, Tuesday next week. So a stack of information coming your way. Thanks so much to the anglers, the guys who have said yes to interviews. And, we've got interviews from like 4 in the afternoon to 9 at night. So I appreciate you guys taking time and having a talk to me and sharing the information. So yeah, I appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing those of you who end up at the Australian Open on Sydney Harbour. If you're not there, there'll be plenty of live streaming and all sorts of stuff to have a look at. If you're stuck in your office or stuck at home or whatever, you'll be able to keep an eye on that and there'll be some great action there, which will also be backed up with the ABT Hawkesbury, and we've also got the Vic Brim down at Gippsland. A heap going on. There's a whole lot going on in the Brim series at the moment. So heaps to report on, heaps to look at and heaps to do. How good is that? Look, I hope you enjoyed that and I will talk to you next week on the Brim Fishing Project.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.